Good afternoon. Good morning to some of you. Greetings from the AMAC National Office. Welcome to another installation of Legends and Leapers. This month we have a exciting conversation, but before I talk to you and before I turn it over to our co-host, I want to tell you about some of the exciting things that are happening in the world of AMAC and give you a few updates and some things to look out for. So on March the 15th, AMAC will offer another training for our members seeking to leverage AMAC's Opportunity Center. Most of you should be signed up, and if not, you should go ahead and sign up. This training is going to help you really leverage the system to search for certified companies, certified DBEs and ACDBEs around the country. And it's going to review our PRISM certification directory capabilities. So look for more information on registering on our events page for that. And then we just announced that on March 22nd and 23rd, AMAC will host our leadership summit, which is our legislative fly-in. We will have a day filled with legislators coming in, policymakers, as well as some airports talking about all of the policy matters, the best practices related to our program. So information will be coming shortly on registration and more information on hotels to come. Additionally, on the 23rd, we will have our ALC fireside chat with dynamic women talking about leadership, talking about how they've navigated their careers. And so stay tuned for our 3 guest speakers. And then, of course, in June 10th through the 14th, our annual Airport Business Diversity Conference. Registration will launch in the coming week. And so more information on that. So now for our Legends and Leapers program, and I'm going to turn it over to our co-host. I'm going to let them fight for which one speaks first to tell you about this Legends and Leapers virtual conversation and to introduce our guest.
Lauryn always goes first, so maybe it's my turn to go first since I was here first. Yeah, there you go. Keep talking that way, Aaron. Keep it going that way. Mute. No, before I turn it over to Lauryn, first of all, thank you all for coming out again. I see in the chat room we have people joining us from all over the country. Please continue to do that so that people can see the vast audience that AMAC is drawing. So again, I'm Ricky Smith, Executive Director, CEO of BWI Marshall Airport and Board Chair for AMAC. We started this program to try and bring together what we thought would be a diversity of opinion. Doesn't always turn out that way. We have a legend who is who's normally old like Wilbur, but not always old. Someone who's been around for a while, been in the industry for a while, is pretty much established him or herself in the industry. And then we have a leaper, someone who is not always young, but someone who may be new to the industry or still trying to find his or her way up. Already experienced some level of success, but still hasn't peaked yet. And so hopefully those 2 individuals will bring some different perspective on the questions that we ask. We do not provide the questions in advance. So the questions that they hear, you'll be hearing them for the first time as they will. And we try to ask a question to cause them to kind of step back and think a little bit about their answer. Nothing that'll get them in trouble, but questions that will provoke some thought. But before we get into that, my amazing, gorgeous co-host, Lauryn Mangum Reed.
Oh, thank you, Ricky. Wilbur, I just want to let you know that I did tell Ricky that you called me perfect. So we are riding that wave. For everyone outside of Ebony on here right now, you guys can see Happy Black History Month. I am the only female represented on this panel today. So I brought my girl Maya Angelou with me so we could hold it down. But with that being said, I have the honor of introducing our amazing panelists today. Our leaper is Victor Harris, who we sit on the Emerging Leaders Committee together. So Victor knows I'm coming for him today. So I'm going to start off with Victor. Victor Harris SE Business Development Manager, was born in Colorado. Victor's journey in the aviation world began in his teens, working in retail stores at Denver International Airport. He graduated with a degree in architecture from Howard University, College of Architecture and Computer Science, and then worked in commercial office space, retail, hospitality, hotels and resorts, residential, medical, and higher education. Wanting to return to the aviation industry, Victor joined his family business, CMTS LLC, and worked as project manager for tenant build-outs at Denver. In addition to project management, he spent 8 years in sales, management, and training, gaining valuable experience that he has been able to use in his career and current role as a Southeast Regional Business Development Manager. A student of growth and leadership, Victor has also been responsible for the hire, training, and development of sales teams in multiple capacities. This love of equipping individuals and businesses with the tools for success is mirrored in the CMTS vision, improving lives and communities one infrastructure project at a time for both our clients and our employees. I'm sure there's some HU Bisons in the chat. I'm shocked it hasn't blown up a little bit more yet, but let me go ahead and start talking about Wilbur. So Wilbur Milhouse III is the chairman and CEO of Milhouse Engineering and Construction, Inc. He is an award-winning entrepreneur who has transformed over 30 years of diversified civil and structural engineering experience into a global enterprise that has drawn national attention. Founded in 2001, Milhouse's dedicated multidisciplinary team of over 500 talented professionals headquartered in Chicago with branch offices throughout the US, Africa, and Bermuda. Mr. Milhouse is fiercely supportive of his community and the engineering profession through extensive involvement in civic, charitable, and professional organizations. In 2012, Mr. Milhouse extended his reach to the community by co-founding Milhouse Charities, a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing academic achievements and opportunities for minorities and other underrepresented youth by supporting STEM-focused organizations. On the international stage, Mr. Milhouse has founded both power and energy companies in Nigeria, where he is developing a 60 MW thermal power plant. The plant is expandable to 300 MW, which is enough power to supply the needs of millions of citizens in the southeastern quadrant of Nigeria. Mr. Milhouse is a proud graduate of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where he earned both his MS in structural engineering and BS in civil engineering. He holds professional engineering licenses in the following states of Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Wisconsin. And then he goes on and provides us with a slew of awards received and boards that he has served on.
Wow.
Yes.
Just some bad brothers. What a way to serve as a precursor to next month, Women's Month. So let me start out by kind of asking the first question. This is kind of a warm-up question. You know, Lauryn and I we're accused often of showing favoritism in terms of the guests that we pick. Some people accuse us of getting paid off, showing favoritism, and that's just not true. And so if you guys can help kind of dispel that rumor or that notion that that we're selective in terms of who we pick, why do you think we pick you to be on this show at this time?
I'm gonna defer to Wilbur here.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks. I have no clue. I mean, definitely been a supporter remotely, most recently, because we have an excellent individual in our office, Maisha McClendon, who really leads our effort and the things that we do, all aviation. So I'm definitely humbled and grateful to be asked, but I haven't really been as involved. So thank you for having me.
That's awesome.
You're not off the hook, Victor. You got to have an answer.
No, I was going to say, I think Lauryn wanted a punching bag.
I already have Ricky, but thank you.
No.
Probably true.
Quite honestly, I've been very blessed and humbled to be here and be asked to be on this panel. I was introduced 2 years ago to the AMAC family. And CMTS has been involved with AMAC for a while within the company. So once that introduction happened and starting to get involved in different boards, whether it's the emerging leaders or governance board, I believe that there's been opportunity for me to speak my voice. And in that being said, I think Lauryn decided that, you know what, you talk enough, let's put you in front of some other people so you can talk there.
All right. Well, just listening to Lauryn go over your bios, it's clear why you guys were asked to be on this show. You are amazing stories, and I know your stories are still developing, but you are very accomplished in your own right, and both of you have a message that the audience wants to hear. So my next question might enable you to provide more insight as to why you were asked to serve on this show. So can both of you share with the audience your superpower? And if you can elaborate a little bit on why that's your superpower.
You get to go first. But...
Oh, okay, I got you. All right, we alternating. Superpower, man. I would just a love of people. I am a people person. I like to learn about what everybody brings to the table, because I have discovered that in life, somebody can always teach you something, and somebody can also help you unlock that nugget, whatever it is that you've been pondering. And this arena is a perfect example of that. It is an arena in which individuals continue to reach out and open doors to allow different conversations and allow us to be in a position to thrive and have the conversations that are necessary in order to move. I see this organization as not only moving our company forward, but building legacies. And I see legacy in multiple arenas, but I believe that there is a legacy that's being built through AMAC that is enabling not only the current generations, but future generations to move forward. So I think that answered the question, but I believe my superpower is just being a people person and trying to find the best out of people.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, I would agree. I feel my superpower is bringing people together and bringing people together from all walks of life to be able to work together to accomplish a goal. And I believe that one of the gifts that I have also is that I like to give and to teach and to be inclusive and to watch people grow. And that's my joy in life, is to really see that happening. And when I have so many different individuals really excelling and doing great, you know, this isn't really work to me. This is just living life and having fun. So if that's having a superpower, I'm really just living life and having fun.
All right. So before I allow Lauryn to interrupt, and as she normally tries to do around this time. So I mean, you know, when I talk to youth, and I'm certainly not talking to youth in this case, but when I talk to youth, I always try to help them understand that life is a series of decisions, and even when you don't make a decision is being made, right? And so, you know, so there's a decision that all of us have made at one point in our life that served as a pivotal point or decision in our lives. Can you tell me that decision that you made? That was the pivotal decision in your life, and I want that personal decision and that professional decision.
Sure. In 1995, after I graduated from college, I made a decision to read a book. It was called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. At that same time, I decided to also write a mission statement. And writing that mission statement, it helped me to figure out what was important to me, and creating harmony and unity in everything that I do was very important to me. And having that as a focus and having a thought process of looking for win-win, sharpening the saw, so many different tools that you learn through reading that Stephen Covey book, was very pivotal for me personally and for me professionally, where it helped guide me to look for those opportunities where I can have a win-win, where I can be able to grow, where I can be able to have harmonious situations with other people. And that to me, it was the pivotal piece of really what clicked to say, this is the direction in which I want to go. And I want to create that atmosphere. One of the reasons why I created Milhouse was because I wanted to create a company where people can experience that the culture is that it's really a place where people can grow and there's no ceiling for anyone. And that is, I would say, that pivotal place.
That's hard to follow up. I would say, quick shameless plug. First pivotal decision I made was to go to Howard University. That was a major decision in my life in terms of being out on my own, discovering what the world is like, and being in an arena in which you need to learn how to adapt. And they ain't gonna hold your hand to get you to your levels of success, right? They're gonna put you in a place that you need to learn how to adapt and move forward. So I think that was one. And then the second one kind of came out of a series of unfortunate events. I helped a company build to some levels of success. They sold. I wasn't in an ownership position, so that meant I got nothing. And so that made me make a decision to take a look at what was happening. And I realized that I had a very real blessing that I was not taking advantage of. And I'm going to speak to second and third generation individuals that are out there. I was blessed that I had a family that started a company and put out the blood, sweat, and tears to be an entrepreneur and do the work and the equity work that was necessary in order to build a platform for me to be able to stand on and shout on shoulders. And that's where I am right now, is shouting on shoulders and moving forward. So the second decision was to make the decision to go back into my family's business and realize that where my strength was is in connecting people and being around people and having conversations with people, and finding that opportunity to use that strength in the best way possible has brought us to where we are right now. So that'd be my answer to that question.
Good stuff.
That's sorry, Ricky. Can I speak now? I know I'm around all this Black male excellence on this here Black History Month, but I just wanted to know if this was my opportunity to.
I noticed, I'm used to being able to look at the screen and tell what time it is. I noticed there's not a clock on the screen this time, so I just have to wing it.
Don't worry, you've monopolized the whole first part of the conversation, but it's fine. So first off, Mr. Milhouse, I'm just glad that you had more to say after, I made a decision after graduating college to read a book, because I was wondering how you made it through, architecture and your education without having done so. But that Stephen Covey book definitely is transformed my life. So I'm glad that there was more that came after that part of your decision. So absolutely amazing. Vic, you said something that was very, very profound. You said that you are standing and shouting on shoulders that have done the blood, that have, shed the blood, the sweat, the tears. Can you talk about that a little bit more, just as far as you being second, third generation in this industry?
Absolutely, yeah. I grew up around our company, and that meant I spent a lot of time around airports. We started at Stapleton before Denver International Airport came around, and our first big contract was at Denver International Airport. We were there when it was beginning. So my growing up in the industry, I got to witness a lot of that. I got to see an airport built from the ground up and kind of notice what that was like. And I'd always watched my grandfather go in and out of different businesses and different conversations and watch what that was like. So there was an entrepreneurial spirit that was already inside me from the get-go. I didn't necessarily be a person. I wasn't necessarily a person that did well in authoritative arenas, like, the jump how high type people. If you're going to ask me to jump, I need you to tell me why I'm jumping, kind of explain certain things to me so it all makes sense. So answering to somebody was never going to be the answer for me, but also learning to how to succumb and bring myself under somebody's mentorship. And that's what was the lesson I needed to learn to come back to my family's business. I can be honest and say that I'm a very competitive person. So that time away from my family's business was because I was trying to find something that compete with what, they had already done. I kind of wanted, they went out there and did something. I want to go out there and do something myself. I kind of had that hard-headed stubbornness to me. And then it took getting your head beat up against the wall a couple of times for you to step back and say, okay, what am I doing? What is it that where am I really trying to go? What is the opportunity that is really in front of me? And where do I best put the skills that I have garnered and put together? Where do I best put them to use? And if I'm going to continue to enrich anybody, why would I not continue to enrich the people that have given me life, that have put me in a position that I can grow and go experience these things? So why would I not go enrich my family's business? But then secondarily, it is the calling of that business to go out there and enrich a community. So I've always been raised to be a person that is willing to do something that is greater than yourself, right? You have the opportunity to succeed. You have a responsibility to do so, if for no other reason that you're magnanimous in your success, right? That you're going out and you're helping other people. And so I believe that that being in that third generation helped me understand that the goal was to go out there and to help this grow, because there's going to be generations following me. And whether that's immediate family or somebody that's looking just like me, there's somebody following me that wants to see that success, that needs to see my success and needs to see that legacy move forward, because that's how we start to build that within our own community.
Now, I want to take a moment for a second, because the Clark Sharp,
Right.
Mr. Clark Sharp has chimed in the chat to let everyone know that Victor's grandfather, he, in parentheses, King Harris, is one of the people that helped start AMAC. So, he is a legacy and just a piece of Black history, especially as it pertains to the aviation industry and AMAC as a whole. So for those that are, my kid doesn't want to get into the business, or, I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as a succession plan, I think Victor's testimony and what he just said is a prime example of that. So, Mr. Milhouse, you are Wilbur Milhouse III. Now, you had, with your background in engineering, you started this company. You did talk about just your culture and your love for people and how you're really developing people within your culture. How are you developing, or what are you all doing at Milhouse to really create that succession plan for the future?
Good question. I mean, we have several things at play related to succession planning. One is my daughter. So my daughter is in the business, and everyone in our entire operation knows that she's anointed to take over, and she's been in the business for at least 10 years now. And she has gone through every facet of our business, whether it was being on the marketing side as well as being on the production side, on the engineering side, and various different levels of it. Now she is our Midwest regional leader, as well as she has cultivated and started our development company and is pushing what we do on the development side. So number one, you have that as a clear line of succession. Plus, you have several other individuals that know that they're right there in support services, and they have the ability to grow to be presidents of various different entities inside of our organization. I like to tell people that if you want this much responsibility, we'll give you that. But if you want that much, we'll make sure you be able to take that as well. That's one of the reasons that we've been able to grow so rapidly in the last 21 years, and how we end up in so many different avenues and so many different things, because I'm one that feels we can share, we can have multiple people involved and give ownership to those individuals that want to start various different things. So our forestry company, I'm sitting in Atlanta right now. We just started a forestry company here, which is vegetation management. And that company grew from 0 to 110 in a year and a half. And I have an individual that's here that is a individual that owns a portion of that company. So having those things in place and giving people clear opportunity brings succession.
I don't know if Lauren wants to further her interruption, but if not, I can jump in with a question.
Go ahead, Ricky. I see your wheels turning.
All right. I don't know if those are wheels that are turning, but something's turning.
Something. Well, before I'm going to interrupt you, actually, if anyone is, we have so many people that are joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to either put them into the Q&A area, or you can drop them directly in the chat. Ricky, even though he runs an airport, he does not multitask as well as I do. So I'll be sure to see your question and make sure that your question gets asked and answered. So with that being said, Ricky.
And I called her amazing and gorgeous and smart at the beginning, all of this stuff. So anyway, so Wilbur, you mentioned 7 habits, and one of the principles of 7 habits is to begin with the end in mind. And
Yep.
so both of you are not done yet, right? I think I can say that with some truth. You guys still have more work to do, but if you can forecast to the end, you know, that time when you walk into the HR office and file your retirement papers, or you decide how you're done, what does that end look like? What do you want people to say about you? What do you want your story, your legacy to be?
You want me to go first, or Vic?
You know what? I'll take a stab at this first, Mr. Wilbur. If I were to ask what I want my legacy to be, it's somebody that opened doors, that listened, that completed the task with fervor, with energy, and with the idea that it's people that are going to get it done. And that's the most important aspect, is to take care of them. I think that would be the legacy that I would want to have left.
I would say mine would definitely be to be remembered as the individual who brought everyone to the table and gave a great opportunity to. And to be remembered in that way, that the entity would have that same spirit. It wouldn't just be that I was that, but that entity is that. And to create an entity with like-minded individuals to be inclusive, to give opportunity, and to grow people. And if, when I walk away, if my entity today can do that without me being there, then I would be very, very happy.
So for both of you, what's in the way?
Well, I'm gonna let you go first, Adam.
It takes time. It takes time to build. It takes time to build. It takes building of culture and building up of people, and getting individuals to subscribe to and follow that is very difficult. Not impossible, just difficult. And that usually means it takes time. You have to stay consistent and keep marching and keep making it happen for people to see that success and see what real enjoyment it is about, and also finding the right people, getting the right people on the bus.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it, because he's talking about time from a standpoint of somebody that's put in or has had effort and established relationships. I'm trying to establish that time and those relationships. I'm in the process of establishing that trust. I'm in the process of stepping out of shadows. So I'm in a space in which I don't want to so much say that I'm trying to make a mark, but I am in a space in which that I'm trying to make sure I'm heard. That what we're saying and what we're doing and the work that we're capable of doing and the opportunities that we can create for ourselves and others that people hear that they see that, and they give us that opportunity to prove that. That's what's in the way for me right now.
So, Lauryn and I don't have questions that we prepare in advance. We're normally asking questions on the fly. Lauryn is very good at picking up on stuff that you say and coming up with questions. What I try to do with the questions is really just to get you talking, right? We just come up with these, kind of complex ways just to get you talking, because that's what the audience really wants to hear. They want to hear you talk, because when you open your mouth, you just have amazing stuff coming out, and it inspires people, it informs people, it educates people. Sometimes it confuses people, sometimes it enlightens people, right? But that's what this is all about. And so, so if the questions sound, I don't know, made up, well, maybe because they are, because all we're trying to do is to really get you to start talking.
There's a philosophy behind there. I was trying to figure out, how philosophical and how real are we hitting people upside the head, or are we giving them the good and fuzzy feeling right now?
A little bit of both. So,
okay.
It is Black History Month. I want to dig into that a little bit. Next month is Women's History Month. I'm going to dig into that too. But who in your life have transformed or had an impact on you to get you to where you are today?
I guess I'll take that.
Go for
Being
it.
the young, the first major influence would be my grandfather, King Harris. That was the shining light on the hill, or it still is. The person that helped created the moral compass, the work ethic, the desire to be great. All those things were born after watching that person and watching that man strive and move toward what he was doing in life. Secondly, I would say, and this was a conscious decision, was to go out and find mentors that dreamed bigger, that thought further, that were in better places than I currently was, so that I can move and grow to those next levels. You only know what you know at this moment, and you only can get to where you can get based off the knowledge you currently have. Somebody like a Mr. Milhouse is going to be there at the forefront that can pass on information. Those are the back pockets that I went to go get into. So yeah, those been the two major influences on my life at this point.
I would say first, several individuals in my family. So I was raised by a single mom. And because my biological father was not there, I learned very early on to glean great things from people, not necessarily everything from one person, but those good pieces. So my mom was an entrepreneur. My aunt, who ended up raising my mom, was an entrepreneur. I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur, but the cards were stacked in the sense that that's all I really saw. So there were several different things that I've learned from them for various different years. But I do remember seeing my uncle work for IBM and have a very nice living. And this was back in the 70s, when you didn't see many African-American men have those things. You may have saw individuals that were doing street pharmacy having those things. And I saw him and said, I want that, and I want to have it that way. And so I gleaned that from my uncle. And Mr. Branch, who drove a bus, and he had a family, and he came home every day and took care of his family. I gleaned that from Mr. Branch. And so I had various different individuals in my life that I would watch and I wanted to imitate, and I wanted to see those good pieces and have those good pieces be a part of my life.
So I'm going to pick a little on something that Wilbur said almost at the beginning of the program. He suggested that he's relatively new to AMAC, right? So where I want to go with that is,
I'm not new. I'm sorry, Ricky. I said I'm just not as involved.
It's not as involved, exactly.
My first involvement with AMAC was back in 2004 when you had a conference out in California, and I went to that conference. I think it was 2004, maybe then a little bit before or after that, but that was my first involvement. I'm just not as involved as some of my other folks.
So you've been a part of the family for a while, right? So,
oh, yeah.
so thanks for that clarification. But Wilbur, I'm not going to let you screw up my question, okay? I'm just going to twist it a little bit. So, so every session we bring panel members who are being seen by some members of AMAC for the first time, right? Or AMAC may not be as familiar with them for whatever reason, and that's it's not a big issue. Where I'm going with this is, AMAC is a huge family, and like our own individual families, there's an occasion you go to a family reunion and you meet a cousin you didn't know you had, right? Well, the AMAC family has a lot of cousins out there that we don't know we have. And so for the audience, you're all ambassadors of AMAC, and you should be taking every opportunity to invite those cousins in, right? Because there are people in our family that will benefit, be inspired by hearing the stories of Victor or Wilbur that they otherwise wouldn't get to hear. So I wanted to kind of do that shameless commercial. Okay, so with that, can you guys talk about what AMAC means for you?
Well, I'm gonna let you take this one first, brother.
Well, I mean, having an organization that really focuses on African-American individuals is hugely important, right? For me, and in the aviation space, for me, early on, I was able to really meet a lot of individuals in various different settings through organizations like this, right? So having that and being able to move in those circles is immensely important. I didn't tell this portion of the story of Milhouse, but aviation was the beginning of Milhouse. Its first joint venture contract at O'Hare International Airport was on aviation project, in which that particular project helped us really grow by leaps and bounds for many, many years to come. And so having those resources, interfacing with you guys for many, many years helped us guide how we were going to position ourselves to actually sustain being in the aviation space. Many times, many minority firms will get a contract, do some work, but they can't hold and sustain in that space. And being able to interface and do that helped us really sustain being in aviation and not just having an aviation project.
It's kind of like a before and after picture when I look at it. Before AMAC, I was trying to beat down the doors of every airport in South Florida. And when I mean beat down the doors, I'm popping up and trying to give my business card to anybody that worked inside of an aviation space. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get in the door. And we have some personal relationships that obviously there were some conversations that were had, but if you're not in your space locally, if you don't have a presence in that local arena, it doesn't matter what your national presence is, the people that are there need to know you. And so CMTS, while we may have had a national presence, we didn't have a local presence in South Florida, and that was the hardest thing for me. And so before AMAC, I really was having a hard time getting into the doors to have the conversations that I needed to have to even position the company. After AMAC, I don't want to call it like, you know, a waterfall, but it kind of started like a couple of drips out of the spout, right? And it's become more steady with the exposure, the opportunities, the more conversations that I'm getting to have, the more chances that I'm getting to get around, as Ricky talked about our cousins. There are so many people that I've met in AMAC that have connections to a firm that I've been talking to that may have connections to an industry or a particular client that we are looking to talk about, or know something about a project that we've been interested in. All those things have been opened up in terms of opportunities and in the conversation. And that's been gold for me, especially being somebody that needed to develop relationships of his own. And I say that because there's a lot of times people come into a business and believe that the reputation of the business is going to sustain whatever it is that you're doing. And I could have taken that track that the reputation of my family's business is CMTS. We've got aviation projects on our belt. Our name should be able to speak for itself. It doesn't. It is a relationship that you build so that people know you, that will then associate you to the name of the company, then associate that name of the company to the work that's being done. And when they know you and like you, they look at the company, give the company the opportunity. And I believe AMAC has allowed me to take my personality and put it in front of the people that it needs to be put in front of in order to open the doors I need to open.
And you've realized that not everyone's like Lauryn, right? Some people are welcoming and inviting and nice.
What are you talking about? Hey, Lauryn's been the nicest person in the world to me. It's just you that she got to beat up on, brother. I don't know why.
Somebody's got to keep him humble. I'm trying to tell you. Thank you, Victor. Jeez. So Ricky talked about in the beginning, he talked about some stereotypes, and I guess I didn't know. First off, I feel like we do an amazing job of picking, panelists and whatnot, and it's very diverse. And based off like what's going on in life and everything else. But what I will say is this is the first time that we have had two individuals on one panel that represent the AEC industry within aviation. I'm kind of impressed with that. And which leads me to say a couple more things. When Ricky talked about our cousins, he was talking about our cousins from all different walks of life, all backgrounds, all demographics, as AMAC is the only trade organization within the aviation industry that is geared towards the advancement of women and minorities. With that being said, Jamie from DFW has a question and kind of took my question in a way, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask this one. Hearing about those who have been transformers in your personal lives, how can the two of you serve as transformers to encourage more minorities to pursue careers within the aviation industry or companies that support the aviation industry? And I know that's a very broad question, but I really want to focus that in on the AEC space.
So things that we're doing I guess I could start this off as an individual and as a company. As an individual, I believe it is my duty, so to say, to present opportunities where opportunities are. I tell people all the time, one of the greatest things that I get to have a conversation with people about is when, because we're a DBE firm, we go to a lot of DBE forums. And those forums happen in multiple industries. They're not always going to be in aviation. They happen in transportation, they happen in transit, they happen in water, wastewater, all over the place. But you have firms that have the type of project managers or project engineers or inspectors or things that are available and needed in the aviation space for their projects. And people don't know about that space. They don't understand it because they know about working for counties or working for cities. One of the best ways that I've heard an airport described, and it helps me to help it break it down for people, is an airport is a city, And so because it is a city, it has all the same things that you'd be dealing with every county, every space, and everything else. So I make it a point when I go out and talk to people, that I ask them, where else are you doing work? Where else are you doing this work? And if you're not doing work at the airport, why? Is it a matter of just lack of knowledge? And then if it isn't lack of knowledge space, okay, then I now have somebody that I can bring along with me, provided that they need to have something behind them, right? The airport's not just going to take a novice, just absolutely. You need to have some work behind you. But in order to do that, to be that person that's up front and leading in that space, we also need to have those opportunities to be able to continually compete against the bigger non-minority firms that are out there, so that we are be able to bring those people along with us. So I think that that's a twofold question. I think that I'm always going to be an advocate on a personal level. From a company standpoint, we want to train and bring in individuals. We have programs that are training inspectors and providing individuals that we need to provide in that space to have the right qualifications and work and all that wonderful stuff. So we're doing our own training on ourselves within the company, but I believe that I guess to fully answer the question, that some of that is for us to have more of a piece of that pie, and to give more opportunities so that we can give more opportunities.
Well put. Well put. We have a couple of different levels of interaction. For the student level individuals, our interaction happens through an organization called Aerostar. And we get individuals involved in understanding aviation, as well as some of the other charitable organizations that we get involved with. When I say we, I'm talking about my charity, Milhouse Charities, where whether it's Polished Pebbles or ICANN, we teach different components related to aviation to the students to spark that interest and to gravitate them towards the sciences, towards STEM. So that happens at various different levels. And once you get individuals in college as well as working for us, we have Milhouse University, where we have a entire class series that we put together around aviation and teaching the different things and components that we have, that we do, whether it's nav aids or it's runway design or various different components there as well. And then in reference to business and B2B, I grab various different firms that I know are assailing or growing in different spaces, and they may have been more transportation and dot related kind of folks, and said, hey, why don't you try to come with us on this project that we're going after, and we'll get you involved in some aviation related kind of work. So like when we won Global Terminal as the lead engineer for that, we brought in two other firms that hadn't done much engineering work at airports to say, hey, let's get these folks involved. And so those are I would say the three different levels of how we interact and get people towards the aviation space. But having more projects definitely help.
So we can hear Ebony laughing, and I imagine in about 10, 15 seconds, we'll probably see her face as we begin to wind down. I am now doing Lauryn's job because she's the one who normally closes things down, transitions to Ebony. But
I was unmuting myself and then you just jumped in. I was actually going to talk about how Mr. Milhouse is getting all these shout outs in the chat. You know, such an honor to partner with Milhouse Charities for almost 10 years. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but I don't know if it was his marketing team or whoever had created almost like a little teaser for his feature on Legends and Leapers. And I was thoroughly impressed to the point where I was like, why don't I have my own teaser for Legends and Leapers?
Wait a minute. Wilbur's becoming a Legends and Leapers OG?
You didn't see it? I think I saw it on LinkedIn. I was thoroughly impressed. So it was like his profile picture, and then it had Legends and Leapers, and it was like tune in because the Wilbur Milhouse III will be speaking. And I was like, wow, talk about taking it to the next level. But you know, that's why he has the amazing team that he has of over 500 talented professionals.
That's why he's in Milhouse. That's right.
But we need to take a page out of that book, Ricky, because you know I'm always on the flyer with you. It would be nice to be on one by myself.
See, Victor, you are enabling that.
What? No, not enabling, just laughing at the foolery.
Oh.
Sorry, Ebony, we know you're jumping in, and I will say that to say Mr. Milhouse also told us he has a hard off at the top of the hour, so he cannot join us for the after hour show because I had all types of questions. So we're gonna have to get him somewhere else, Ricky.
I have to make a call. It could last 5 minutes. Who knows?
Okay, all right. But with that said, I know Ebony has to give us a recap and close us out with all of the amazing events that AMAC has going on.
Well, first I want to thank Victor and Wilbur for such insightful wisdom and knowledge and just encouragement on what they're doing, but what others should be doing. These are two great examples of legends and leapers, and this is why we have this event. And so really, thank you, gentlemen, for joining. It was no coincidence that we had two individuals representing the AEC part of the industry, because it's an important part of the industry that feeds the overall industry. When they build terminals, there comes concessions opportunities. These are also two gentlemen who are working to lift the next generation. And that's what we do here at AMAC through our AMAC Builds Careers programs. And one thing I do want to mention, there are two great things that are happening right now. Our AMAC scholarship application is open. And this year, the foundation will award more money. So please spread the word to young individuals who are interested in our scholarship program. The application is open and won't close until March. The other program that I want to lift up is our AMAC Builds Careers internship program. Last year, we had several interns in which we encourage our members to be host, and then we help place young people. And so Wilbur, we're going to be knocking on the door for Milhouse to host one of the college students that come through AMAC. There's a lot of people out there from Chicago. Chicago just finished their local chapter elections, and they will be announced soon. And obviously, Wilbur represents a lot of places, but hometown is Chicago. And so stay tuned for all of the great things that are happening in our local chapters. BWI Washington chapter has already announced their leadership. I know Los Angeles and Houston and all the others are right behind. And so please get involved. Please stay tuned. And again, we encourage you to check out all of the amazing events that are coming up in the month of March, including our Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C., our ALC Fireside Chat, and please join us in San Antonio for our annual conference. This year is going to be just building on what we've done over the years and including Chicago. Now, I know Chicago said best conference ever. What I say now is best conference ever this year. So best conference ever in San Antonio. So we're looking forward to having you there. But I'm going to turn it back over to you, Lauryn, if you're going to do a little after AMAC with just Victor, and maybe Wilbur will join. But thank you all for tuning in. Have an amazing rest of the week.
Thank you. So Wilbur, thank you so much. If you can jump back on, awesome. I'm gonna be grilling Vic. I got my boxing gloves on. But I do actually want to talk about a little bit just as far as like succession planning and whatnot. So Ricky, you gonna stay on with me?
I'm going to stay on for a little, not very long, because I can't take the assault like Victor.
Thank you. I'm trying to jump back on.
All right, Wilbur. Okay, man. Good seeing you.
Nice meeting you. Good seeing you, brother.
So, Vic,
yes.
We've talked about, just you being a Black history in the making, but coming from, family and being third generation of an individual that literally, like Mr. Sharp said, has been an integral part in the beginning of AMAC. So did you feel as though, you had to step away because of the huge shoes?
It was never, okay. So I had been groomed to be in the business from the get-go, whether that it was overtly stated or not, I was always around. So it was always kind of in me. It was a conscious decision to step away, not so much because of the shoes that I had to fill, but because of, as I said beforehand, it was the competitive nature within me. I had this notion at the time that, he went out and put out the blood, sweat, equity, all the tears, everything that was necessary in order to grow the company. In order for me to have a true appreciation of something like that, I needed to go do it for myself. And that was the mindset that I had, and the reason that I took the path that I took, because I really felt like, in order for me to grow in the way that I needed to grow, I needed to take my own lumps. And hindsight, I could have done that a lot easier. I could have taken a lot easier path. Hindsight being what it is, I could have made. And this is, to go back into the statement I talked about, mentorship. This is, kind of that space. You have mentors all around you. It's your choice as to whether or not you're going to access and use them. I could have asked my grandfather all sorts of questions, but it took me 10 years of being able to get out of my own way, out of my own head, out of my own thought process, to be able to humble myself enough to be able to go ask those questions, so that I had to humble myself and get to this point so that I can ask the questions in order to grow to where it is that I really want to be.
So I'm going to challenge you on that a little bit, Victor, because we all have our own paths, right? And we're all a product of the path that we travel. Even those moments on the path that we wish we didn't have to travel. I mean, you wouldn't be Victor Harris had you not traveled, that 10 years
Absolutely.
ago, you decide to go for it your own. You're probably a much stronger person, professional today, because you went through that. So, I would caution you to embrace that, because it's certainly, a part of who makes you who you are.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to say, when I say I could have had an easier path, this is me recognizing that you could have asked these questions 10 years ago. But you didn't, and the reason you didn't is because you needed to learn these lessons so that you had an appreciation for when you did ask these questions, you had a basis and you had a foundation from where to ask those questions from, and where to get the right understanding that you needed to move forward. So I agree wholeheartedly. The experiences were needed, and they were needed so that I can actually form the right question to move myself forward.
I mean, we have a lot of guests, and all of our guests are good, but I would say you're one of the most insightful guests we've had on this show. I'm not saying that because because you like Lauryn or anything. I mean, you have a great story. You're extremely articulate. And you are able to articulate a path that you've been through with clarity and in a way that people can feel it and connect to it, right? And so that's why I said what I said. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, much appreciated.
No, Ricky, that's real. And one thing about Vic is you'll ask him a question and he's going to give you multiple answers to the point where you may forget what the question was that you asked. But because he goes so deep with it, you have like this greater appreciation to the point where you're like, dang, I'm deep for asking this question, not even realizing that wasn't even the question that
you feel like you asked a deeper question than you really did.
Because he was so philosophical with the answer, you're like, he wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for me.
I like that.
So, Victor, one thing that we have learned is that in our industry, there are very few people that woke up one day and said, I'm gonna be in, like, when in elementary school and they're like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
I want to be a concessionaire in the airport. I want to be the CEO of an airport. I want to,
pilot, right?
Yeah, be the head of marketing for an airline. Like you hear, I want to be a pilot or something along those lines. But very rarely we found in our profession, right? In our industry, that people wake up and say, this is what I want to do. One of the things that you said, you know, you had to go through this journey and you had to take this path that you took to get to where you are to truly be able to appreciate it. But one of the things that you said in the beginning, which I thought was very, very an integral part in this decision, was you were building a company that did like extremely well, but you had no equity in that company.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you walked away with nothing.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that happens to us a lot. Tell me a little bit more about that situation, if you don't mind. Tell me a little bit more about that situation and that shift for you.
Just so you know, after you made that statement, half the workforce turned in their resignations.
Hey, well, listen, man. Hey, I believe that in order to get to where you are and where you really want to be in life, you got to have some ownership in something. You know, that was a lesson that was taken out of that situation. You know, I am, first of all, I'm grateful to the company. I believe there's nothing bad to be said about the people that sold. That was his American success story. He started the company. He put in the equity in order to do so. Yet he hired employees to help grow the company and help do the things that were necessary. But that was the product of him doing the work that he did. So I can't be upset that I didn't get anything out of that. But I can learn that I don't want to be in that position again. And that's really what ended up happening out of that situation. Is I looked up and said, I don't want to give up another 5 years of my life building somebody else's ultimate goal, dream, whatever it is that it's going to be. If I'm going to put in this type of equity, I want to put it towards something that is building the dreams and goals that I have for myself and for my family. And that's really where the shift came. It became a shift in wanting to talk, and a shift in priorities. What are the priorities that I have for myself? What are the priorities that I have for my family? And when I started to put my priorities in perspective, I saw that I had a legacy that I could choose to be a part of. It was going to go, first of all, the company was going to continue whether I was there or not. It was not in need of my infusion in order to continue to move forward. So let me go ahead and make sure that that's clear, that I'm not in any, belief that I'm some savior or anything else coming in to ride on my horse to help the family business. No. What I saw, what we all saw was an opportunity for me to put a skill set that I had honed over years to effective use. And not only that it would be a skill set that would help me move forward into the next generation of the family business. And that's where all of that came together. I needed the heartache of watching somebody make $28.5 million and not getting a pipe and not getting a piece of it. I needed that heartache. I needed that heartache to know what that was like, to be able to say, okay, I know that the effect that I want to have is where it's going to be, where I'm going to put my energy, and have a great appreciation for, hey, my grandfather started something, my uncle is running something, and I have a chance that very few in the world have, which is continue a third generation of a business and move it forward to that next level. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say that's how that passage, I guess, started. That's how that path started.
So let me ask you this question, because you're going to be around for a while, right? You're going to be a leader and an owner for a while, and you're going to employ a lot of younger professionals who don't have the same appreciation for working for someone for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the experience you had with the other company, where the owners did what owners have a right to do, right? And that affected you the way it did. Did that inform or color your perspective on how you want your employees to be treated when you
Absolutely.
make those kinds of decisions?
Absolutely. It is. I look at this as a unique opportunity for me to be the positive effect on somebody's opinion on not only the workforce, but what it could be to work for a business. We are a family-owned business, and we stress, I've heard people talk about the idea that family-owned things mom and pop. To me, that's a sign of strength. It is a sign of just, it is something that shows that you can bring something together, that you can hold on to it, and that you can move it forward year after year. There's something to be said about that. And so it's not only from the idea of it being our family, it's the idea that people that come into the company are our family. It is a family-owned business. We are a family to come in here. We want to understand and treat you in that same fashion, because we believe that your success, it is not even a belief. We know that your success is ultimately our success. We know that you being in the best of spaces, and mentally, physically, emotionally, all those things are what are going to lead us to be able to grow. And if we are not treating our employees with that mindset, what client thinks they're going to come in there and actually pay attention to what it is that's important for them to do? So we treat everybody with the mindset that it is, we talk about it is a client. When we talk about our clients, yes, it is a client-based approach, but it's a person-based approach. And our business, our company, is a person-based approach. We want to approach the people that we are working for and make sure we put them in the best position to succeed, to grow, to move to the next level that they want to move to, so that sustaining is what's going to help the company move to that next level. I don't believe I need to be the face of anything. I don't believe that leadership is something that I think has naturally come, but it's not something that I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is to be in a position where I'm opening doors and I'm continuing to put people in the best position to be successful.
All right. Okay. I am gonna jump ship, but Victor, again, you were amazing. I hope we get to connect at a future conference or AMAC gathering.
Yes, sir.
If you see me, pull me aside. If I see you, I'll certainly pull you aside. I may be trying to hide or get away from Lauryn or something in the process, so just keep that in mind.
Hey man, we might have to get that parachute out. We got you.
For the record, I was about to give both of you your flowers. Thank you very much.
Are you killing us now? You're burying us now?
Fake babe. Quite the opposite. No, quite the opposite. I will say, and someone in the chat just talked about, Drew said, in a time when we are all tired of Zoom and Teams meetings, thank you for making these sessions something to look forward to. Very great forum and looking forward to the next one. I want to concur that, and just the conversation, Victor, between you and Wilbur. I mean, we have some amazing individuals, month after month. Just different mindsets, different backgrounds, different stories and testimonies. You two have been absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for that. But what I was gonna say is I wanted to give you both your flowers, and Wilbur as well. Hopefully he'll see this, but give you all your flowers. Just as, again, I'm gonna say it again, it's Black History Month, so I'll be remiss without saying this, but to be able to see just amazing Black men build and grow in your respective industries. Ricky, you as an airport CEO, Victor, you as being the Southeast Business Development Manager and third generation of your company, and Mr. Milhouse, just doing a phenomenal job in his community and growing such a successful organization in engineering over the past 30 years. One of the things that he mentioned was, he used to see people saying, or used to see successful people, I shouldn't say successful, but people, doing well, they were street pharmacists. And a lot of us grew up, thinking that Black men had to be street pharmacists or athletes or something along those lines to see that level of success. And you guys truly are not just walking the walk, but talking the talk and bringing as many people along with you. And I appreciate that. Y'all, my son's on the way. Y'all got me thinking about sending him to Morehouse.
I thought you were about to say that the two of us.
You said the wrong school. You said Morehouse. We love Morehouse.
I'm sorry. Howard, my apologies, Howard.
Yes.
Y'all got me thinking about sending him to the real HU.
There you go.
If this is the product that comes of it, I'll definitely put it on the list. They got to get their basketball team right though, but that's neither here nor there. They got time.
We're an academic institution.
My children are well-rounded. in all aspects of life. So we're speaking that into existence. But Ricky, this is recorded, so everyone can go back and see me giving you your flowers and saying that because of you, mostly Victor, but because of you, I may think about sending Legend to Howard.
You know, and you gave us our flowers in the context of Black History Month. We are 22 days into the month. I mean, this is a short month. What took you so long?
I had to wait for a platform where there was more than just me and you on the phone to really be able to reminisce and have someone else appreciate. April said, Lauryn, say that. You know what I mean? So
I
needed
heard
other
what
people
April said.
to get in on this flower giving. Because I was giving you just one long stem rose. Now you got a bouquet. You see what I'm saying?
You also could have said it when there were 93 people on the call. Now there are 26 people.
If
She bought it her time well.
I would have had time to do it. But all his answers were 10 minutes. I only had so much time.
Oh, okay. That, you know what? I'll take that. No, shots fired. Shots fired. I was trying to be introspective. I tried to make sure that
No, you were. We definitely appreciate it. But Ricky, you know, there's always next Black History Month.
You know, we should have. That's true. That's right. And it'll be 28 days. We didn't mention that I will not be here next month.
Really? Oh, it's Women's History Month.
So I think they will get is it the amazing Maury Russell?
I think so. I think you know, with you not being in the forefront, we'll probably have some record-breaking numbers on March's Legends and Leapers. So that's a beautiful thing. But that's neither here nor there. I'm excited to have my girl back, so we can roll with the ladies for the month of March. But gentlemen, thank you both so much. More so Victor and Wilbur, Ricky. You know, we appreciate everybody that stayed on for the after show, and we will see you all in March for our Women's History Month for the month of March. So thank you all. Love you all. Be blessed and enjoy your last few days of Black History Month.
Much love, Lauryn. Take care.
Take care, everybody.